I think there's never been a better time to be a small business, and the agility that you have and your impact you can have on the market, and how you can stand out when, these big, slow, well-known competitors so often, at least what I'm seeing, is that the people just don't have the same level of care. So I think it's never been easier to differentiate yourself with how you treat people. I mean, it's just basic stuff. Like, if there's a problem, respond and take care of it, like, right away, like you give a damn. And I guess it seems automatic to me, but like, at least in the logistics industry, there's so often complacency. So when you do execute like that, it's very easy to stand out.
Welcome back to the Founders Hustle. This podcast is all about talking with founders and hearing about their entrepreneurial journey, including lessons they've learned along the way. So today's guest is Dave Gulas, co-founder of EZDC 3PL. It's a mouthful, but he'll explain it in detail. So, he's sharing how he found his way into logistics and really how caring more helped him win a new client from a big competitor that got too complacent. So Dave believes there's never been a better time to be a small business, and his philosophy is, if you care, you win. So welcome to the show, Dave. So happy to have you here today.
Hey, thanks so much, Judy, for the intro, and I'm really excited to be here with you.
I am so intrigued with your journey, and if you could just share with us, one, what it is that you do and how the heck you ended up in logistics.
Yeah, like most people, kind of by accident. So EZDC 3PL, we provide warehousing, fulfillment, and transportation services for manufacturers and e-commerce brands. And myself, I've been in sales my whole adult life. Most of that time was in the medical and pharmaceutical industries. And a couple of years back, a good friend of mine and I from the pharma industry, we were looking for another vertical to get into. And specifically with logistics, we knew several e-commerce companies were having a lot of problems with their 3PL. And just for those that don't know, 3PL stands for third-party logistics. So if you're outsourcing your fulfillment, your warehousing, those services to a third party, you'd use a 3PL. So we knew e-commerce brands.
So real quick, just to help me and the listeners understand, break that down a little bit. Describe a business that is using your service and what that looks like for the listeners.
Yeah, so if you think about a manufacturer, e-commerce brand, someone that sells something, particularly online, oftentimes when they start out, they may have a small warehouse. They may even start out of their home, and at some point they graduate to where the logistics, the filling their own orders, shipping their own orders doesn't make sense anymore. So then they'll outsource that to a third party. So there's companies that have bigger warehouses where you can rent space. So like for us, for instance, brands will rent space in our warehouse. We'll hook up to their Shopify. All the orders will flow through to us. We'll pick, pack, and ship their orders. So as you get bigger and your business grows, if you don't want to rent or own a warehouse, you don't want to manage staff, you don't want to have to keep going through expensive software upgrades, you don't want to have to negotiate rates with UPS and all those folks, you could outsource that to people that specialize in that, and then you can focus your time and energy on your zone of genius and growing your business. So yeah, we saw people were having problems with their 3PL, and specifically with the customer service aspect, where their orders weren't shipping on time, they were having issues, they weren't getting a timely response, and they were very frustrated. And our experience from the pharmaceutical industry, particularly on the secondary market where we were at, is, everything's going overnight to independent pharmacies, everything's urgent, and things are going wrong literally all the time. So you have to even survive in that world, you have to have a very high-touch customer service approach. You have to be able to, respond at various times throughout the day. You have to get things done quickly. You have to make sure, problems are solved so everything can keep moving the way it's supposed to. So when we saw this and we had been looking for a different industry to get into, we said, our brand of customer service would be perfect for this. And that's when the wheels started turning and we jumped in and did it.
All right. So break that down. And this is what it always trips me up. The wheels start spinning. You see an opportunity. What does step one look like? How do you take those wheels spinning into action? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, so my friend had just bought a warehouse that he had a whole lot more space than he needed, and he didn't know what he was going to do with it. So that's part of it too. So then when we saw this opportunity, we said, yeah, we could do this. We have the space, and we're pretty, we're both very, I guess like to hustle. And so we quickly came up with ideas how we could get things going, and we knew people right away that potentially could be customers. And we, even though we didn't really know the ins and outs of this industry, we said, okay, let's find a good consultant that can teach us. We did that. And we just kind of started saying, okay, what do we need to open up? What do we need to get the minimal stuff to just actually be open for business? We took a couple months to do that. We opened up, we started getting leads, started getting customers, and just kind of went from there.
What I appreciate about entrepreneurs are people who can make really bold moves. And the way I'm looking at this right now, just based on what you said, that you didn't know much about the industry. You had to learn, you had to hire a consultant. You jumped in, sounds like 2 feet into murky water, not knowing what was beneath. And right now you're pulling ahead in it. And like, where does that come from? Where does that spirit, where does that trust, where does that confidence come from, do you believe?
So I've been in sales literally my whole adult life, right? So it's really the only type of professional job I've ever had. I dropped out of college after a couple of years, and I've always had a very successful sales career. So to even do that, where you're in a performance-based role for, 20 plus years, you have to have self-confidence. I've been a student of personal development. I've always worked on myself and my craft. So, I think that's a big part of it. So I guess this, even though it was challenging and I really didn't know at the time what I was getting into, and we can get into more of that, I just felt like, hey, no problem. I can do this, and, let's go.
So Dave, right now, how many employees do you have working for yourself?
We have 10.
You have 10 employees. Okay. And like to date with your entrepreneurial journey, like what has been one of the toughest moments to date, or kind of struggles that you've had to overcome?
In the beginning, right, you're excited, you have all these plans, and a lot of things don't go as planned, right? And you got to figure stuff out, right? So, in the beginning, I guess to give you one, like we brought on the probably the wrong fit of a client, right? And this is probably about a year in. And part of the reason was the volume was so big. In my mind, I'm thinking, we just can't pass this up. I know we're probably not ready, but we're in this to really grow and scale this thing. So it's like we can figure it out as we go. And we did to a certain extent, but that exposed a whole lot of other issues. And it was just a really challenging period that we went through. But out of that, we grew a lot. We ended up solving all the problems that we needed to solve, even though it was painful at times, and even though that relationship ultimately ended up not working out. But we were both, I think, of the opinion that it wasn't the right fit. But just kind of going through that and just having the pain of realizing, we don't have the right software. We're trying to do too much with too little. We're not delivering the way we need to. It really the pain of all that forced us to really solve those challenges and make the necessary adjustments, which we did end up doing. And, ultimately we're a lot better off for it. But I guess at the time it was not fun.
Right. If you could rewind the clock, would you have taken on that same client knowing what you know now?
Yeah, because if not, I really like where we are right now. And it's like, so if that hadn't all happened, who knows where we would be. So I don't think I would change anything about anything we've done, despite all the mistakes and challenges and whatever. I like where we've ended up, and that's the process of life, right? Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but that's how you learn and grow. And if, you have to be willing to go through those tough lessons.
Right. No, I like that. So knowing that you have a strong sales background, talk to me about your marketing. How did you get your first client? What does that look like? What are you doing now to secure and build relationships?
Yeah. So funny enough, I got the first client very early on, and it was literally the first lead I ever got. And I really attribute it to just some beginner's luck, and it just happened to all work out. But then, even thereafter, right? It was very challenging after that. So another lesson I had to learn very quick is, so coming from where we did in the pharmaceutical industry, it was very traditional B2B sales, to where you could buy lists of people, you knew who the customers were, you could call, build relationships, that sort of thing, to where we're marketing to. I mean, the customers can come from anywhere, and people aren't looking to move warehouses every day, right? It's typically a big decision, and you want them with you for a long time, and it's so you really have to be out there where they can find you when they're ready, versus just doing the other type of outreach we did in pharma, where people are buying literally different drugs every day, type of thing, right? So I quickly had to get into content marketing, to where I was, when we got into this, I didn't have any social media presence. I wasn't posting anything on LinkedIn. So I quickly had to start doing that and learn how to really be visible, and get my thoughts and opinions out there, and really grow a following to really attract the right type of client. So that a big piece of our marketing ever since then really revolves on putting out content. So we're more visible to anyone that might need our services.
Yeah, that is fantastic. It's interesting. The way that you're using content seems to be kind of the new generational way to market. Even doing podcasts with me, it's just something that I believe many people need to embrace a little bit more and understand the positivity that can come out of good content structure. Now, in our pre-show, you had mentioned two things. One, you believe that now is a better time than ever for a small business owner. And two, you had told me a story about a win that you had by securing a new client, and you were able to win that from a very large, well-known competitor. Share with us talk me through that story.
Yeah, so I actually even did a post about this recently too, with just what I see is really a shift, and it's not only in our industry, and I can tell you the story about our company and how we operate, but other industries as well. I see it's particularly in software, across many different providers I've interacted with, and other professional services, to where there's these big legacy providers, these big box companies, if you will, these 100-year-old names, and yet it's filled with bureaucracy, and it translates into an environment where it's like the people don't care. Like, they're punching a clock, they're there for a check, but they really don't care. And you contrast that with all these startups that keep coming out, and all these founder-led small businesses that are really aggressive and excited to get out there and serve, and provide their solution that they've developed. And you're seeing the competition in the marketplace, and I'm seeing time and time again, and this has happened with people that we have to utilize various services, where there's a legacy big box provider where the people are just moving slow and not very effective. And then there's these founder-led startups that are a couple years old, and the way the people treat you, and the way the people care, and the extra mile they're willing to go, and when problems come up, the way they own it and execute, it's just night and day. And I'm seeing all the time very large company, or I guess successful companies, go with a younger startup that the people care, versus this 100-year-old name legacy provider. So that's why I think there's never been a better time to be a small business, and the agility that you have, and your impact you can have on the market, and how you can stand out when these big, slow, well-known competitors. So often, at least what I'm seeing, is that the people just don't have the same level of care. So I think it's never been easier to differentiate yourself with how you treat people, and how you execute on the work that needs to be done, and how you and your team can show that you care.
Yeah. And what would you say? I mean, I think we all have a rendition of how we care, but in a business sense, what do you think that you do better than most people that shows you care?
I mean, it's just basic stuff. Like, if there's a problem, respond and take care of it, like, right away. Like, you give a damn. I mean, and
Right.
we have customers literally all all around the world, all different time zones. So, I mean, I'm any given time when I wake up, I'm waking up to all sorts of emails. And if there's something that needs to be done, particularly for a customer where it's in our case, where it's their business and it's involving their orders shipping out, and we're really an extension of their business. We're their warehouse. You just get on it right away and you solve the issue. And if someone needs to get pulled in, or if something needs to happen, or whatever, and then even if you don't have the solution right away, or it's more complex and you need to go through several steps to solve it, just let someone know right away. Hey, I got the message. We're working on it. Here's when I'm going to update you. Here's what's going to happen next. Here's what I'm doing. I'll get back to you once A, B, and C happens, or whatever the case is. But like, to me, that's just automatic in terms of dealing with customers for so long. And, people appreciate that and they want to know stuff's taken care of. And I guess it seems automatic to me, but like, at least in the logistics industry, there's when we came in, and I see it all over the place, there's so often complacency with people involved. So when you do execute like that, it's very easy to stand out.
Is there any advice that you would give an aspiring entrepreneur in terms of, everything that you just said about caring, but is there anything that you would say if you could look into a future entrepreneur's eyes right now and give them, your best piece of advice?
I would just say, believe in yourself, right? Particularly if you have that desire, you have an idea. It depends on what the business is and so much more than that. But I would think that's, with anyone trying to do anything, the number one thing I see holding people back is self-doubt, right? Where they don't believe in themselves. So, and again, right, not going to be easy. There's going to be all types of failures and all that, but that's, anyone that's growing a business realizes that, and no one's thinking about you all that much. Everyone's focused on their own problems. So that's another thing, I see so much of fear of what people are going to think if I post this or I do that. Like, I would just say, if you have that desire, get out and do it and believe in yourself, and you'd be amazed at what can happen if you just stick with it and keep moving.
That's great advice. I love that. Everybody thinks about something else. They're not always thinking about you. No, that's really good advice. And you just talked about failure a little bit. And we all fail at some point in our life, sometimes time and time again. But the best part of failure is, if you approach it correctly, it's a learning opportunity. Share with me one of the failures you've had so far, and what have you learned from it?
We didn't get into my podcast, but I started a podcast a couple of years ago, and I had I was only on YouTube, right, for the first 6+ months, right? And I didn't even realize the audio platforms existed. So, that was something too, where when I finally realized that, it was a big hassle to kind of get on the audio platforms and back it up from there.
Tell me more about your podcast. So your podcast is about logistics, correct?
No, it's actually about entrepreneurship.
Okay. And tell me how or why you started the podcast, and how that may be supplementing or helping you either with your personal brand and or with your business.
Yeah, it's helped a lot. So in the beginning, right, it was challenging to where I wasn't getting traction I wanted, and the content stuff was hard in the beginning. And I found I was doing a lot of networking, going to shows, and I found the biggest source of value was conversations with other entrepreneurs, people that were on the same journey. So one day the idea just hit me, hey, if you start a podcast, you put the conversations out, they'll be public, the audience can benefit, the guests will get exposure, it'll be a true win-win. And I didn't know anything about podcasting or where to even start. And I talked to my marketing team, and they said, hey, it's a great idea. You can do this and that and get going right away. I said, cool, let's just do it. And we just did it. And it's helped immensely. Pretty much from the beginning, right? The first month in, I noticed a big difference in terms of the inbound leads and what it was doing. And I attribute that to where, like, I was probably trying to be too self-promotional with my content up until then. And once I really started just focusing on putting out good conversations.
For those of you that are out there watching this podcast, you may have noticed we just had a major glitch, and Sir David dropped off the call. So this is in real time. how you pivot when you're squeezed between two cracks. So Dave, bless his heart, we had some audio and visual issues, probably due to the weather, but nonetheless, two people, two minds. We're back on platform. So if you're watching, I apologize, but we will finish up. And if you're listening, hello, we're back. So quite frankly, Dave, I forgot where we left off.
So did I. So did I. But we're back, and yeah, we're gonna roll with it. So, like you said, that's how we pivot. We're on my Zoom now, and the background's a little different, but we're gonna keep going.
Yeah. So, all right, let's bounce right back into it because you're telling some really fun stories. But at the end of the day, what is one of the biggest lessons that you have learned during your entire journey?
Yeah, I think, boy, you know, just particularly when you're starting out, right? You're so ambitious. You have all these goals and vision of what you're going to build, and things don't go as you plan them out. You're going to have to pivot. You get things that you think are going to work or not. There's going to be all sorts of unexpected challenges. You're going to get hit from left field with stuff you don't expect. So just having an even keel type of mindset where you're not too high, you're not too low, but you realize it's a process, and you just got to keep moving forward every day, no matter what happens. Just, I guess, understanding that, I certainly didn't understand that going into this, but I've certainly learned a lot in the 3 years I've been doing it. But just, I would say just knowing that on the front end gives you a big advantage dealing with the adversity that's going to come up.
Yeah. Well, what has been one of your biggest accomplishments or successes that you feel really proud of?
Jeez. I mean, like for me, right? Like I think the biggest thing. So we're in January recording this, and just so we just had the holiday season, and despite any of the, whatever metrics you measure and all that, to me, the most gratifying thing is just like when we have like the end of the year and people really celebrating and really getting like, personal messages from people saying like, wow, I'm so grateful for you guys. We had a great year. Our business was, did well. And we're just grateful to have you guys and for everything you do. I mean, we've got several of those from key accounts, and just hearing that, or when people take the time to even send you something, right? Just means a lot. And being able to celebrate with our team and have a little we had a little outing where we all went and hung out together and just kind of spend time on a more personal level where it's not just business. I mean, just stuff like that, and just being able to build something tangible that really helps customers and solves their problems and employs people. I mean, for me, that's like, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah. Well, and speaking with you, both online, offline, there's some things you can teach people and there's some things you can't, but you can just tell that you naturally care. You're naturally curious. You naturally want to help people. And it obviously translates very well in your entrepreneurial journey and your growth trajectory, because it spews. I mean, you can't fake caring. So I think that is the key takeaway. And, you just, that's the core. That's your nucleus of who you are as a person. And it's paying off big time for you. So where do you see your logistics company in the next 3, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, so I mean, we just added a second location this past September, so we're excited about that, and we want to continue growing that and add several more. So I mean, we're really focused on just improving the level of service we offer, and just continue to get bigger brands that sign on with us, and being able to continue to expand that way really within Kentucky. So I mean, that's the immediate plan, and so particularly for this year, we're focused on that, and we just want to keep growing like that. And for anyone listening that's considering a 3PL, Kentucky is an excellent central location where you can keep the cost down, and you can reach the vast majority of the country very quickly. So.
Very nice. What would be an ideal client for you? Do you have a specific niche, or who would be an ideal client?
Yeah, so I mean, we deal with people, with it that ship smaller items, so like beauty supplies, nutritional supplements, home goods, things like that, and typically people that are selling on Shopify. So people,
Okay.
yeah, people doing typically, we look for people doing between 1,000 and 10,000 orders a month, direct to consumer on Shopify, and within an industry like that where the goods are smaller, not big and bulky type items, but smaller things that fit in a small box.
Excellent, excellent. For parting words, give your last piece of, we talked about it earlier, last piece of advice, inspiration. What do you tell future leaders? What do you tell future entrepreneurs?
Yeah, well, so like you said, this is the founders hustle. So you're getting into it with founders, and I would just say, yeah, never been a better time to be in business. And if you have a desire, you have an idea, you have goals and dreams like that, just get out there and do it, and take some sort of action, get some momentum, and keep going. And most importantly, believe in yourself, because yeah, small business is what runs this great country of ours. And yeah, never been a better time. And I would just say get out there and do it if you have that ambition.
That is fantastic. Yep, get out there and do it. That's what we're all doing. How do our listeners find you, both your podcast and your business? First, your business. Tell us, how do we locate your company? Sorry.
Yeah, EZDC3PL.com. That's our website. You can always find me on LinkedIn. That's Dave Gulas, Gulas. Very accessible there. And then as far as the podcast, if you want to hear some more really cool entrepreneurial stories, it's called Beyond Fulfillment, and we are on YouTube and then everywhere else that podcasts are heard.
That is fantastic. I will put in the description, whether you're listening or watching this, how to reach out to you specifically and get in contact with you and or listen or watch your show. So this is great. I thoroughly enjoy hearing people's stories and learning how the heck they do it. It blows my mind that you pretty much didn't know anything about the industry, but you went 2 feet in and you came out. You're doing quite well, and you've got a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and it's been a lot of fun talking with you. So I appreciate your time very much.
Hey, thanks so much, Judy. I really appreciate you as well. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing with the podcast. Love what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, enjoy the day. We'll talk to you here soon, Dave. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Founders Hustle. I would absolutely love to know what resonated with you the most from today's guest. Go ahead and drop me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, if there's a future topic that you'd like me to touch on, go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. But no matter where you're watching or streaming your favorite shows, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on social media. Tell a friend about this. I would love the support. But in the meantime, keep living, keep growing, and keep hustling, because you are meant to do great things. See you next week.